Hello everyone. Dzień dobry. Hej. Hallå. Those were the 3 or 4 words I know in Polish. And it's interesting to realize that 2 of them are actually pronounced the same, mean the same, and I suppose actually are spelled the same way in Swedish as well. So now you know that. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about pair programming. How many in here are actually doing pair programming on a regular basis? Oh, okay. None of us. Oh, 1, 2. Okay. So the goal today is to introduce it, to talk about what is it, and I will show you a live example on how to pair program remote. So during the presentation I will hook up with the guy in Romania and show you that it works. Hopefully it works. You never know, we have a lot of things involved here, network for example, that could fail. And we will also discuss some issues of course, because as you might understand, not everything is perfect, and not in this context either. But let's put this in some kind of perspective. How many of you, let me put it like this, how long time do you think that we have done pair programming within software development? 10 years? Sorry? 40? That would mean in the beginning of the 70s. That's actually not correct. It has been done at least, or almost 60 years. So this is nothing new. This has been done before. So this guy, Fred Brooks, who is the author of Mythical Man, he claims that he did that during the 50s. So this has been around for a long time. Why should we do pair programming? That's, of course, a valid question. Well, if we only need one reason, then fun is a good reason. I think it's very fun. It's a great way to solve problems. How many of you have experienced solving a problem on your own compared to solving a problem with someone else? That was a really bad question. Which way was how did you produce the best result? By yourself or with someone else, or a group of someone else, other persons? You can't raise your hand on that question either. So moving along, I claim that problem solving is best done within a group. And a group has to be at least 2 persons or more. And another reason why we want to do pair programming is that we want fast feedback on whatever we write. As fast as possible. Continuous code review if you want. So, going back to problem solving, 1 person, 1 problem. Well, it could work. That's the way you're supposed to do it when you write an exam, for example. It's like an exam in mathematics. But it's often a lot better if you can work together with someone else to solve a specific problem, because someone else will not think exactly like you do. They will solve the problem a little bit differently. They will have other angles on the solution. So if you're more than 1 person, you will probably end up with a better solution than if you do it yourself. Because if you do it yourself, no one will tell you that this idea is not good because of this or that. So, anyone recognize yourself here? These guys are obviously not pair programming. They have headphones on. Did someone turn down the sound? Can you hear me in the back? If you can hear me in the back, please raise your hands. Yes, you can hear me in the back. Okay, that's good. So this is one way to do it, but these guys are solving the problem alone. And that's perhaps not the best way to do things. One other reason why pair programming is good is that you spread knowledge. Suppose that you have a new developer coming on into the team. How do you teach them how you do stuff? Will you give them the book, the specification, 500 pages? Some of this may not be correct, but this is the way we're supposed to do. Or will you try to sit down with that developer and write code and discuss it from the beginning? I've been handed that book. I've never read it. I just browsed it and was wondering which part is incorrect or not. So introducing a new developer by pairing with them is a great way to introduce them, of course. Handover, that's the same thing. Knowledge management. I found a great quote when researching for this speech. Our knowledge has legs. It walks home every day. So knowledge is actually leaving the office. This is someone leaving in a blizzard. It's awful. What happens if there's a bus in the same blizzard? Well, this person may not return because there could have been a terrible accident. Or they may not come back for other reasons. So knowledge management is one good reason to why you would want to do pair programming. You want to keep your bus count above 1. If there's only one person who knows about how this system is developed and maintained, and this person steps out in front of a bus, that could be nasty. Learning. Well, learning new stuff by following examples is great. So by pairing with someone, you're able to learn a new programming language if someone else knows about this language and is interested. Or for that matter, just a new development environment. Suppose that you are a lucky person and you're allowed to leave Eclipse. And then you have to learn how IDEA works instead. That's not very difficult, but it's a new development environment if you have been working with Eclipse earlier. Pairing with someone will teach you a lot of different shortcuts and stuff. Development techniques. Pairing with someone is a great way to make sure you don't stray away from the technique that you want to learn. TDD, for example, is a great way to learn, and doing it with a partner, that's very good actually. Because if your partner is more experienced than you are, then he or she can make sure that you don't stray away, that you actually follow the new technique. I've been working as a teacher at Technical University in Stockholm. One of my experience from that, I was teaching programming technology, I guess you could call it that. That is introductory courses in Java for a lot of people, and almost none of them were interested in software development. They were interested in other things, chemistry, mechanical engineering and stuff. But they had to take this course. There were a lot of elaborations. And one experience that I have is that one student, it happens that they deliver good solutions or okay solutions. 2 students, always better. Because they're working in pairs, they're able to help each other. I've seen groups with 3 students, and that could work. It's not as good as if you're 2, but it could work. Finally, I have seen groups with 4 students. That has never worked. There's always someone in a group that large who didn't understand the problem, who didn't understand what they did. So my experience tells me that working in a pair like this, when you learn something new, something that you haven't been exposed for earlier, a pair is a very good size of a group in this case. But it's very important that the pairs are equal in that case, and this is especially for teaching. This may not apply when we're talking about pairing for the fun of it, or for that matter, pairing when you develop production code. In a teaching situation, it is always better to have 2 persons who are at the same level of knowledge, because then they will learn from each other. If someone is an expert, the other one will probably not understand or follow. The expert might be rushing along and not telling the other one enough. So in a teaching situation at the university, I found that the same knowledge level is great within the pair. Another question one might ask is, what is driving change? What makes you change? Well, feedback. Is there anyone doing continuous integration here? Why are you doing continuous integration? You want feedback. You want to know if someone destroyed the code with the last check-in or not. Do you really want to pull down the latest source code or not? Do you want to wait until they have fixed whatever problem they just created? The feedback loop there's of course a lot of different scales here. The length of feedback loop, well, it depends, of course. It depends on a lot of different situations. For example, I have a colleague who got a bug report 6 months after he wrote the code. Do you think he remembered what he did? No, he didn't even remember doing that part of it. This was a waterfall project in Stockholm not too long ago. So, the scale. Well, feedback is important. Customer will probably be the last ones to give you feedback because they're the last persons who will be able to use the software you write. Code review will give you feedback earlier than the customer will be able to give you feedback, but it may take some time. Continuous integration will give you feedback within a couple of minutes or something from that you checked in the code. Hopefully sooner, but within a couple of minutes. We're not talking hours at least. Test-driven development will give you feedback, and now we're down on the minute scale or perhaps even less. Pair programming, seconds. If someone is watching the code that you write and is actually paying attention, then they will be able to tell you that, hey, that wasn't too good. What were you thinking there? And they will be able to do so instantly. So now we're talking seconds. There's another example that I actually think is very good. Driving a car. Then you need feedback on a very small scale. Because if you don't, if you close your eyes for, I don't know, a short period of time, 10 minutes, at the highway, no, you won't make it. So the scale here is, of course, different, and pair programming is one of the fastest way to get feedback. This is the feedback loop from Extreme Programming. Release plan, they claim month. Well, if you do continuous deployment, hours. Iteration plan, acceptance test, blah, 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 blah. Pair programming at the bottom, seconds. So the conclusion here is that we will probably get better software through faster feedback. Okay? So how do we do pair programming? Well, we have to learn and we have to do some exercises. One thing that I do some katas. And in this case, I practice, and I just practice for the practicing of itself. So I don't do it in production code. And I throw away it afterwards, normally at least. And if I don't throw it away, I have never experienced that I'm going back to look at the stuff that I did. So I might as well have thrown it away. So this is just an exercise just for the practicing itself. Pretty much as if you're a musician. How many in here are musicians? Okay, not a good example. The rest of you might know that if you play an instrument, it's very important that you play scales. How many in here who are a musician thinks playing scales is fun? Okay, so we agree on that one. It's actually very boring, but actually it's like exercise, very good for you. You can do this in a few different ways, of course, and there are, of course, a lot of other ways to do it than those that I tell you about here. Ping pong, far side navigator, and one really fun one that is silent. Ping pong, we have one driver, one person who runs the keyboard, and we have one person who is the navigator. And this setup is, of course, valid for all pair programming. But in this case, you switch very often. So you really shovel the keyboard back and forth. Or if you might have two keyboards. That could be confusing, because if you have two keyboards and two persons typing at the same time, that could be confusing. But yeah, you switch often. One way I try to do it is approximately every second method. And this will mean in time, I don't know, minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. If you use TDD and you implement the simplest possible solution that could work, then the scale is quite small, we change often. Another way is Farsight Navigator. Then you also have a driver, of course, and you have a navigator as well. But in this case, the navigator will be looking forward, looking ahead, planning. You won't switch very often, but this one will think many steps ahead and make sure that you don't stray away. And then there will be a driver that actually type the code. So you switch quite seldom. In my opinion, this is not as fun as ping pong, but it could be valuable as well, of course. Silent. I only tried this one once, and it was very fun. When I did it as ping pong, and if you would plan very far ahead and you weren't allowed to talk, that would be difficult. Ping pong, you can write a really small method, and then the other one will understand what you want to do and do it, hopefully. Because you don't speak. You're quiet. So this could be perfect for remote pair programming, but it's actually quite difficult. And if you do it remote, then you don't even have a scratch pad where you can write the model or whatever. So yeah, it's actually difficult, but it's fun. I've tried it, as I said, I tried it once at a code retreat. Great experience. So where do you practice? Where do you practice programming at all? Well, how many in here has attended a coding dojo? Not too many. Okay. Coding dojos is a great way to do it, a great place to do it. You gather around a small group of people, and then you try to solve a problem together. You could use a Randori style where you have a group that actually is rotating. You get a couple of minutes at the keyboard, and then you switched out, say 10 persons doing this. Could be very fun. Another place where you can practice this is, of course, on a code retreat. How many here has attended a code retreat? And of you who did that, how many of you were at the code retreat in Krakow last year? Yeah, you recognize the T-shirt. Hope so, at least. Yeah, this is a great place to do it. This is a picture from code retreat that was from last Saturday in Turku, Finland. So that's the organizer of Turku Agile Day, and that's a code organizer. And in this case, you work in pairs with one problem. The preferred problem is Conway's Game of Life, which has very simple rules, and it includes a lot of different problems, actually. So you work in pairs, 45 minutes, and then you throw it away. You normally don't succeed solving the problem in this time, but you will do a lot of programming and learn a lot how other people think, and yeah, you will practice, and practice makes perfect. Well, if you think about what you're doing when you practice. Another way to do it could, of course, be remote. Why? Well, it's perhaps not easy to find someone in your area who is interested in pair programming. I have the luxury of having a couple of friends who are actually quite interested, so we have a coding dojo almost regularly, say every 4th week or something. But not everyone is able to do that, and it's not easy to do pair programming tour like Corey Haynes did, for example. Couch surfing for 6 months, or was it a year? I don't know. Around the world, pairing with different people. Not everyone has the luxury of just leaving their family for 6 months. Would that be a luxury? Not for me, at least. So in this case, remote is a good way to do it. All you need to do is find someone to pair with. So I'm asking you, if anyone is interested, please contact me afterwards, and we'll see if we can make something out. So this is one way to practice pair programming. TDD. Do you have to do TDD when you pair program? Nope, you don't. I think that it is very good if you do it, but it's not necessary. There's no rule or law that says you have to do it like that. So I think you want to do it, but no, it's not mandatory. Economy, boring stuff. A lot of people are worried about the cost of pair programming. They think of 2 persons, 1 computer. That's a waste. And I claim that this view is totally wrong, because, yes, it is 2 persons, it is 1 computer, but it is 2 persons and 1 problem. And I claim that you solve problems better in a group than you do it alone. At least I do that. There may be other people who are really smart and solve it better on their own, but most of us, we're not so smart. About 50% of us is below average. So we're not so smart, unfortunately. So 1 problem, 2 persons, better solution. So one question you have to ask is, what is the cost of long feedback? Well, how much does it cost to fix a bug in production? That depends, of course. If you have releases every hour or every day or every week, then it might not be very expensive. If you release every 3rd month, well, it gets more expensive. Every 6 months, once a year, this could be really costly. Bad performance due to bug, well, same thing. Has anyone seen a road like this before? Okay, so I'm the only guy who's been driving cars in Poland. Okay, I'm not sure where this photo is taken. It is a country road somewhere in Poland. And 5 years ago, yeah, 5 years ago, I did a tour from, so I went from Gdansk to Riga. It's called Riga, yeah. So I went from boat to Stockholm, from Stockholm to Gdansk, and then I took a left-hand turn back. I saw a lot of roads like this. And if you drive on a road like this, and you crash your car, how much would that cost? That could be really expensive, and if you're unlucky, you might not even have a chance to pay for it because you might get killed. Very bad. So one has, if someone complains about it's very expensive with pair program, you have to ask them, what does it cost if we introduce a bug? We don't intend to do that, but it could happen by mistake. No one is perfect. There has been some research on this subject as well, of course. Alistair Cockburn and Laurie Williams wrote a paper that they presented at XP 2000, that's 11 years ago, where they claim that it's about it takes about 15% longer time to do pair program compared with independent developers. And they will introduce 50% less bugs. So it's always a trade-off. Are you prepared to pay 15% extra for having 50% less bugs? Maybe, maybe not. There are other guys who have been doing work on this as well. And it all depends, so I won't go very deep into the mathematics behind this. Crashing a car is, I think that's an okay example if you close your eyes, because you can do it, and if you close your eyes you will have a long feedback loop. So, remote. Well, one thing that you have to do is of course scheduling. And it's quite difficult sometimes to find a good time, so I tend to use Doodle to create a Doodle poll to see when can we do some pair programming, if I don't have the luxury to talk to the person over phone or Skype or whatever. You need a network that should be reasonable. The network we have at the conference here is actually a lot better than the one I got back home, so you don't need too much network capacity actually. Well, we need some tools for sound. We need to hear each other if we don't want to do the silent version of it. But that's very difficult. I would not recommend it remote. We need to have some way to see whatever we're working on. And we need to access the code. Sound could be done by Skype, view. it's also possible to do it by Skype. Skype will not allow you to type on your partner's keyboard, but you can watch the screen. And you can share code using, say, GitHub. This was the way we did it, my first experience with remote pair programming, which in essence was the Farsight Navigator version of it. My partner, he wrote code for like 10 to 15 minutes, then checked it in on GitHub. I pulled it down and continued working on it. It works, but not great, but it works. Better tools are, once again, Skype or anything that will allow you to talk over the net. Then I've been using TeamViewer. Has anyone used TeamViewer in here? Okay, some of you, not too many. TeamViewer will allow you to share your computer. So in this case, whoa, we have to trust someone. That could be scary. But if you trust your remote partner, then you could allow him or her to type on your keyboard. They will get access to your entire computer, but hopefully that's not a problem because you will be watching them. So I think this works great, actually. And we don't need any place to share the code. We're sharing the computer. So, yeah, so it's time for demonstration. And my remote partner will be Alex, who lives in Bucharest, Romania. I'm not sure if he's in Bucharest at the moment or actually where he is. He travels around a bit in Romania. So Alex, he's a coach, developer, teacher, speaker, a great guy, actually. He has been speaking at a couple of different conferences here in Krakow, or actually in Poland. My first experience when I met him was at the Agile Central Europe 3 years ago. Was it that? Yeah, I think so. So what we will do is I will connect to him, and we will do some programming, not very long time, but I'll show you how we can use the tools. The exercise that we will work on is string calculator kata. Has anyone heard of it? 1, 2, 3, okay. And you're more than that. Okay, so given a string, what we need to do is actually parse it and then calculate the sum. An example could be the string 1, 2. That should be the sum 3. Very simple. It gets more complicated if you want. And if you're interested, the kata is available on the web, of course. There's a guy called Roy Oshiro. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. That has written this one, and it's not too complicated. It's possible to solve it within 3 or perhaps 4 pomodors. Okay. So let's do something really stupid. Let's try to do this live. And why do I say stupid? Because it's risky, and I hate risks at presentations. So let's start with Skype and see if Alex is on. Ah, he's online. Perfect. So I'll call Alex and see what happens. So it's ringing. I don't hear anything. Hi, Alex.
Hi, Thomas.
Yeah, you can hear me, and the audience can hear you as well as see you.
Okay, so hi everyone.
So this is Alex from Romania, and the guy who took the photo from the code retreat is actually Alex's brother. So, did you get the information about my user ID and password?
Yes, I'll just connect now.
Okay, good. And then I'll
just a moment.
And I'll switch to my development environment, IDEA, like this. Okay, and now we can see that someone has connected using TeamViewer. Is it possible to remove this one?
Okay, I'll just put you on full screen so that I can see it better.
Yeah. Okay, so let's start I'll start with creating a test class. And this is just your regular Maven project, nothing to it. So I'll write a Java class, and we have discussed that we will do this exercise using TDD as if you meant it. That is, we will write the production code in the test class, and if we need, we'll refactor it to somewhere else, and we won't get very far with that today. So let me start with just creating a Java class. I call it string calculator test. Did I get everything right? Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. And I'll also start with the first test. And if we look at the specification, then we can see that an empty string should return null. Okay, so I'll implement a small test that will verify that, like this. Public void should, I don't know, should return 0.
Yeah.
Naming methods like this is, as we all know,
Okay, you
difficult.
have a cap C.
Yeah. Okay, so if this is the test, then I'll just write a small assertion. We know that the expected result should be 0, and I'll define something actual, and then I got a problem. What should I call the method? I don't know. Sum. And if you have a better suggestion, Alex, please rename this one. And then finally, I'll assert that actual is the expected value. And then I'll need to fix so it compiles. Create method is, no, do a static method import.
Okay. Start that.
And then I'll create the method sum, yes. And now I need to import this one as well. Okay, so...
Oh yeah, Thomas, maybe you can turn on the line count.
Yeah, good suggestion.
That would be useful.
Yes. It's all about communication. And communicating, saying that thing or that thing is difficult. So let's turn on line numbering. Show line numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
Show line numbers, yes.
Yeah, that's the one.
So
cool.
We don't, at least I don't like having line numbers in my code because they're normally quite irrelevant. In this case, it enhances communication. So, giving you the keyboard.
Okay. So,
whoa.
I'm sorry, I'm not used with Macs, so...
Now you're sitting on the Linux box?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So we're doing the pairing on a Mac, and Alex is using Linux, so we're able to use different operating systems without problems.
Actually, I'd like first to see that this test is failing, so I'll just return -1.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure where to run the tests.
Let me help you.
Maybe here.
I'll use a shortcut. Control Shift F10, and then I'll run the tests, and it failed. Bummer.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's perfect. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that is good because now we have the what do you call it? Transition from red bar to hopefully green bar.
Okay. So let me try Control Shift F10.
Yes. And it works.
Okay. Yeah. There's just one thing. I don't like the S name for the parameter of the sum method.
What would you like to name
maybe
it?
I don't know. Oops. Again, sorry. So I guess it an expression, right?
Yes, I think we could say that.
So I'll just name it expression for now.
Yeah.
And run the test again.
Does it still run? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So would you like to write the next test?
Okay. So I guess that it would have to be public void. What is the next scenario?
Well, let's take a look at the definition or at the specification. So if we add, for example, 1, then we should get 1 back. So perhaps adding 1 could be the simple step that we could take.
Okay, so maybe I'll rename it should return 1 for now. And I'll say expected equals 1. Actual equals sum of 1. If I understood correctly, requirements. Actual is expected. Okay. So let me run the test.
Yes, please.
I'd like to see it failing.
Yes. So let me fix this. I have a great idea how to fix it.
Okay.
Or does anyone in the audience have a great idea how to fix this? No? Are you developers? Sorry? Length, yeah. And what should I do with length? Okay. I just got the suggestion that I should use length. I'll use length.
Okay.
And I'll do it like this. If expression length is larger than 0, then no,
Okay.
not then. Almost. Return 1. And this is one thing that is quite important. I was speaking as I did this. I said what I was going to do. And that's very important. Communication. You have to tell your partner, this is what I want to do. So being silent during pair programming, that's a bad thing. That's an anti-pattern. Don't be that. Talk. Say something. If you don't know what to do, say so. Your partner will already understand that, hey, my partner doesn't know what to do, so I'll give him a suggestion. Silence is really bad in this case. I had one more question to you, Alex. And that's, I'm not sure where you're located at the moment. I know that you're probably in Romania, but where in Romania are you?
I'm in Bucharest right now, actually in my apartment.
Okay, so you're home in Bucharest.
Yeah. Okay. I even thought about bringing a glass of wine, but then I thought that you are working there, so it wouldn't be fair.
Yeah, and we would probably be very jealous if you had a glass of wine. So thank you for not bringing that. Does anyone have any questions that we should ask Alex before before I continue with the presentation? No questions. Let me ask you, what's the weather like in Romania?
Oh, it's actually nice.
Okay, so
it's very warm this summer, so now it's quite nice.
Yeah, okay. So it's not like in Stockholm where it's like 2 degrees?
No.
Or for that matter in Krakow, I took a walk just before lunch, quite chilly, but not 2 degrees. It was warmer than that.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you very much for helping us out, Alex. I will continue the presentation and I'll call you later and tell you what I thought about this. Okay, thank you. Goodbye. Okay, so we spent 10 minutes, 35 seconds pair programming. And I'm not going to continue that. I'm going to continue with the... Whoa, who's calling me? Okay. I'll shut down Skype. Like that. No, nobody can call me. Right. So, a few tips on doing programming like this. One thing that I actually hadn't thought of, but my friend Peter from Vienna suggested this, is that if you do pair programming and you do it remote, you have 2 screens probably, keep one for your personal stuff. Maybe you for some reason has to be able to screen your mail or do something else. Second screen is good for personal stuff. Line numbering, yes. I asked Alex to ask for that, so you will remember that this is a good way to communicate. Usually it is very good to have a good headset, so you can hear the other person and he or she can hear you well. Unfortunately, I don't have the opportunity to put a microphone into this computer, but just using a set of headphones is great. Okay, so if this were all the good things, what are the problems then? Are there any problems? Of course there is. One problem, 10 minutes left. It's very hard to sketch a solution. How many in here is using pen and paper to sketch your ideas? That's a lot of us. Great way to just get your ideas out and discuss it with your partner, or a whiteboard for that matter. There are whiteboards online. I haven't found anyone that I'm impressed of yet, partly because it's very difficult to draw a straight line with the mouse, and this is things that you have to do. Time zones. Time zones could be a real big pain. In this case, Alex was sitting in Romania. That's 1 hour ahead of us. So in his time zone, it's closer to 6 o'clock than 5 o'clock. 1 hour's difference, that's not a big problem. But suppose that you try to pair program with someone in the US, then you will have 6 or 10 hours, 12 hours. Or for that matter, someone in New Zealand, that would be 12 hours. So someone has to stay up very late or start very early. This is one of the reasons why pair programming remote is a problem during the day-to-day work. There's a lot of other reasons as well, but time zones is an issue. Local pairing. Well, to be honest, make sure that you take a lot of showers. No, enough. Clean clothing. You will be sitting very close to someone, and it should be as pleasant as possible for both of you. Another problem, or possibility if you want, is focus. It's very exhausting to do pair programming, because when you're doing it, you're not able to take any micro pauses. You can't stop thinking of the problem for a few minutes or a few seconds, because your partner will ask you, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm sleeping." That's not a good answer. So this will be exhausting. I've done some pair program at my last assignment with a guy, and we did almost the entire days sometimes, and we were almost not able to do 8 hours. It's very exhausting. So plan for breaks. Anyone heard about Pomodoros? Pomodoro technique? Okay, some of you. This is a technique where you work intensely for, say, 25 minutes. Could be something more, could be something less. And you don't accept any interruptions. And then you take 5-minute break. So this means that you should be able to do, in an 8-hour day, you should be able to do 16 Pomodoros. Those of you who has experience of it, have you ever been able to do 16 on a day? No. They are also very exhausting. But it's a great way to concentrate. It happens that managers forbids pairing. Yeah, and there could be a critical bug in production. Been there, tried that, and I do have the T-shirt. And it's unfortunate, but I know of at least one system where we might have been able to not get a critical bug in production if we had done pairing. Now it is in production, and well, it's an issue. Some anti-patterns that you could do and that you, of course, should avoid. Don't do any talking. That's bad. You have to talk. Leave. If you're sitting two persons together, solving one problem, and then one person just leaves, that's not pair programming. Don't do that. If you don't explain what you do or what you want to go, that's bad. Or for that matter, want to say what you want to achieve. These are almost the same. Maybe I should put them into the same bullet. If you're rude to your partner, fight about who will be driving. It could happen. It could happen. Two strong minds, one keyboard. Yeah, you can imagine. Someone might kidnap the keyboard. And kidnapping is illegal, at least last time I checked. Kidnapping keyboards, well, maybe not as illegal as kidnapping another person, but don't do it. So, getting back to why. Why should we do pair programming? Problem solving. Feedback. Better quality. And just for the fun of it. So if we need just one reason, pick any of it. I would pick fun. And remember, pair program is not a goal. It is a tool. Nothing else. So, I'm getting back to this conclusion. Betting software through faster feedback. Make sure you get feedback as soon as you can. As often as you can. Some resources. And I assume that everyone has heard about Skype. TeamViewer is a great tool. There's 2 blog posts. One that I wrote and one that my friend Peter in Vienna wrote. There's also a book called Pair Programming Illuminated, which is 11 years old. It still carries a lot of truth. So if you're interested and don't have any other ideas, buy this book. And Google may be your friend. I'm not sure if they will be your friend, but it might be so. So I'm still Thomas. I've been speaking about pair programming, and I'm still a consultant at Waymark. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for the presentation. And now it's time for a break. Thank you.
And any questions, please come up here.